Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good day. Let us start our class by reciting some of dua. Allahumma aftah alayna hikmataka wa anshur alayna min khazain rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Alhamdulillah, now we are on chapter 10 for reproductive system. And now we are on part 2. Okay, for the second part, we will learn on spermatogenesis. Okay, how the sperms are formed through this process. Okay, then we do have what are oogenesis. Then we will go down how the hormones will be influenced all those two gametogenesis, and then describe an ovarian cycle and uterine cycle. So these are the formation of gametes, that what we call as genesis, and the names of gametes are at the prime, means the sperm. If it is production of sperm, it's spermato, and if it is production of ovum, it's called as oogenesis. Okay. So there are different types of sperms before it's gonna be matured sperms. So it will start from the spermatogonium, the one who are what we call as the first formation of the egg, or what we call as primordial germs. So we call as spermatogonium. So we want to recall the one who the production is all on inside the testis, in the very specific place at seminiferous tubule. So inside there we can see a lot of pictures of these types of cells. Some of it is like only circular forms and so on, and then it can be developing into different types until it's form a matured sperms that do have tails and so on. Means complete formation of spermatids, what we call as the sperm itself. So by having a cross section of this part, we can see different types of cell division, whether it is mitosis or meiosis. Okay, meiosis. Why it should undergo meiosis? Actually, because this is a sexual cells, means the one that carry genetics do have only N, means haploid. Okay, after this, the sperm will fertilize the eggs, and after that can become 2N if the fertilization of sperms and ovum are open. So that's why it's undergo meiotic to carry the genetic information on behalf of it. Okay. So now we can see spermatogenesis means the production of sperm cell, and it begins at puberty, continues throughout the life. So it occurs in the seminiferous tubules. Okay. So we can start first with the spermatogonium. Spermatogonium undergo rapid mitosis to produce more stem cells before puberty. Means during gestational periods, mean inside the mother's womb until they are children, until they become puberty, the male means matured. So these spermatogonia are having a rapid mitosis. But during the puberty, FSH, what we call as follicle stimulating hormone. This one will stimulate the follicle. The hormone will stimulate the follicle to initiate spermatogenesis and testosterone production by Leydig cells. So you can see the Leydig cells here who are responsible for the production of testosterone. So actually, it will only develop into this kind of meiosis and so on during your puberty, only during puberty. So in the seminiferous tubule, spermatogonium will divide through mitosis. Only, okay, through mitosis, it can form a primary spermatocyte. Okay, primary spermatocyte will undergo the first meiosis, means will be divided, meiosis, into haploid cells of secondary spermatocytes. Okay. After that, secondary meiosis will undergo second stage of meiosis 2 that will produce. Okay, this one will be divided into half after meiosis 1. Secondary spermatocyte will undergo meiosis 2 to be developed into 4 spermatids, means they will be divided into 4. This one divided into 4. 4 number of cells, like here, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this one is occur during puberty only, after puberty only. So then the spermatogenesis will take about how many days? It's about 3 months. 3 months, okay. Sorry, 2 months. 2 months. And it should be in lower in temperature, means lesser than 37. So it's between 30 or degrees Celsius. Okay. Then these are the illustration for the mitosis that occur during before puberty and after puberty. The spermatogonium will develop into primary spermatocyte. Primary spermatocyte will undergo meiotic division, meiosis 1, and produce 2 secondary spermatids. Two secondary spermatocyte. This secondary spermatocyte will undergo second meiotic division to produce 4 haploid spermatids, and this one will be visible inside the seminiferous tubules. Okay, then after that, these sperms also should become matured. So how it's matured is through the maturation of spermatids. Okay, lead spermatids are produced with discrete region. Only we do have head. Okay, then the middle part of the neck like it, and then it do have third one is the tail. So lead spermatid produce only head, acrosome, and tail. Most cytoplasm is phagocytized by the Sertoli. Sperm cells result from maturing spermatids, and this is, you should be there in epididymis for 12 days in epididymis. Okay. So recall back where are the epididymis based on my previous lecture. So these are the phases for spermiogenesis starting from Golgi phase. Okay, starting from the Golgi phase, a chromosome of granule are formed. Then there are certain part of what we call as cap. phase, where the acrosomal vesicles now is slightly narrow in shapes. And then acrosomal phase, we do have the acrosome cap very well produced there, and the tails are continuing to grow. And maturation phase, the division of the middle piece and the head and the neck can be distinguished very well. So these are all those the same presentation of this spermiogenesis. And then what are the controller for this spermatogenesis? The controller is the brain, okay? So the brain or what we call as specific part at the hypothalamus will release the hormone what we call as GnRH, what we call as gonadotrophin releasing hormone. So this GnRH will activate anterior pituitary, means at the pituitary gland. So it's not at the back part, it's at the front part, what we call as anterior pituitary, to release FSH and LH, what we call as follicular stimulating hormone to stimulate the follicle formation. Second one, luteinizing hormone. So luteinizing hormones is the same name, LH, that will stimulate LH. L means Leydig cells to produce testosterone. Here we go, they are the Leydig cells. So now LH will stimulate Leydig cells to produce testosterone. Testosterone will stimulate the spermiogenesis, and for the FSH will stimulate S, Sertoli. We do have the S. Okay, S. This one LH, L, so L for lady, L for, okay, means how you want to remember very well, very easily. So you just like some of the hint. FSH will activate the Sertoli cells. Okay, this one will promote spermatogenesis. Leydig cells will produce testosterone. So the testosterone also can further give the best production of spermatogenesis. So this is the same picture, and the second, I think, is mostly the repetition of what I have said before. Gonadotrophin releasing hormone that's secreted by hypothalamus. Okay, sorry, hypothalamus. Inside there, hypothalamus will release GnRH. Okay. Is the GnRH will activate pituitary gland, which part? Anterior part of pituitary, to release FSH and LH. So where's the activation? LH will activate Leydig cells. Leydig cells will produce more testosterone. For FSH, it will stimulate the Sertoli cells to further the process of spermiogenesis. Okay, maturation of sperm. Okay, now go to the formation of gametes in females. So we do have two parts. Before birth, mean inside the mother's womb, and after birth, from childhood to puberty, which part are the cells are developing until it is having menopause. So total supply of eggs are only present at birth. So means if it is 200 million, so it is only the supply for the whole life. Okay, it's not like a man. So for women, they do have a total supply. So the ability to release the eggs begins at menopause. So here, they are arrested during the childhood only at spoogonium and primary oocyte only. It means they are developing until mitosis. The baby and so on, the baby girl will produce a lot of oogonium and will be developing into primary oocyte. So it is arrested at prophase 1. And then after after puberty, the primary oocyte will undergo meiosis 1. Undergo meiosis 1 to produce two secondary oocyte and first polar body. The secondary oocyte will undergo second meiotic division of meiosis 2 to produce second polar body and secondary oocyte. So then, if there are fertilization occur, it will continue from metaphase 2 into anaphase and telophase to complete the cycle to produce the zygote. So oocytes are matured in developing ovarian follicles. Oogonia or oogonium, what we call as stem cells for women. They are undergo mitosis until 2 to 9 months of gestation inside the mother's womb. Maksudnya baby girl tu dah ada dah proses mitosis berlaku. And then primary oocytes surrounded by the cells form primary follicles in the ovary. Oogonia are no longer exist by the time of birth until birth only. So the number of oogonia are the total supply for the whole life of a female. And then the follicle, instead of the oogenesis, the formation of secondary oocyte and so on. Okay, secondary oocyte. There are also follicular development. The follicle, primordial follicle, will be developing into growing follicle until a mature follicle, until there's ovulation. So actually, what are follicle? Follicle are where the oogonium resides, which means the oocytes itself are actually inside this follicle. So they are growing together. From the oocytes are growing with inside the mature follicles, and then during ovulation, they will be releasing its oocytes into the fallopian tube. And then the follicle at last will be developed into what we call as corpus luteum at the end of the piece. So these are the human follicular development, starting from no follicle until the phases of tertiary follicle itself that do contain a lot of layers and so on. Okay, so go for the first oogenesis for meiosis 1. After puberty, okay, after puberty means once the female are matured, so the primary oocyte will undergo meiosis 1. Okay, so the oogenesis occurs in ovary, primary oocyte and the cells surround to form a follicle. Primary oocyte in active antipuberty. Each month, primary oocyte completes its first meiotic division, forming a secondary oocyte. Okay, so it's starting from the differentiation to produce oogonium. So oogonium in primary, you can see the formation of it. Primary oocyte are within the follicle, and then follicle are growing with the name of mature follicle. Then it will be released during ovulation. So means this is the secondary oocyte. And the follicle now are developed into corpus luteum. and then degeneration of the corpus luteum. If there's nothing, fertilization occurs. Okay, so after ovulation, if the entry of sperm can trigger of completion of meiosis 1. Before this, it's not complete. It's only metaphase 2. But during this one, it will continue to the anaphase and telophase. So what are the hormone that stimulates oogenesis? It's from the follicle stimulating hormone, what we call as FSH. And then meiosis will start inside the maturing follicle, and it's produced secondary oocyte and first polar body. And meiosis can be complete if after ovulation, only if the sperm penetrates, means the fertilization occurs. So complete of meiosis 2 if there's fertilization. And here, 2 polar bodies are produced. So this one is the same illustration before this. Okay, so you just see. So from the primordial follicle going inside the primary follicle, it's now growing with a lot of layer until it's called vesicular, means they do have the vesicles there. So this is what we call as Graafian follicles. Then during ovulation, it's released as secondary oocyte. So if there's any fertilization, they will fuse to the sperm, and then meiosis 2 will be completed. Means they are undergo anaphase 2 and telophase 2. Okay, go to the meiosis 1. Meiosis 1, it consists of prophase 1, metaphase 1, anaphase 1, and telophase. Starting from centriole, how's the formation of the chromosome. In the metaphase, the spindle structure attached to the kinetochore, and then during the anaphase, both are directly moving towards the end of the separation of centriole, and then during telophase, they will be divided into 2. So this is what we call as meiosis 1. And during oogenesis 2, okay, if there's nothing happen, so for every month, if there's no sexual intercourse between man and female, so the woman is only complete meiosis 2 until metaphase 2 only. If there's fertilization, means the sperms enter the oocyte, so the anaphase and telophase will be complete the cycles. And then we do have oogenesis 2, the first polar body undergo further division or not. Secondary oocyte remain in meiosis 2 until fertilization. That's what I said. It's only remain in metaphase 2 for every cycle of the month. And this one will result in 1 haploid ovum, means the number of genes is only 23. So we can see the same presentation, how's the oogonium on mitosis during the fetal development inside the mother's womb, and after it will be delayed after puberty, means during childhood and so on, it stopped there. After puberty, it start to having a meiosis 1, and then it can produce 2 types of cells. First one, secondary oocyte, and first polar body. Okay, the secondary oocyte, if it is ovulate, okay, undergo meiosis 2. If ovulation occur, and then the sperm cells, fertilization occur, and then they are completing meiosis 2 from anaphase and telophase. Then the meiosis 2 complete its cycle and it's come into ovum and second polar body. The nuclei of the sperm and the ovum are unite to form diploid, means two end of zygote. Okay. So oogenesis only viable for 12 to 24 hours only. And the sperms are viable for 12 to 48 hours. It's almost only 1 day, and for male is 4 days. How they are active. So that because why is longer for the sperm? Because they want to make a way to the uterine for fertilization to be possible. What are the differences between spermatogenesis vs oogenesis? Spermatogenesis, they are continually dividing by mitosis for spermatogenesis, but for oogenesis, they only have finite population. Means for men, there's not finite number of cells. It can continually dividing until they die. But for women, it's only finite population. If it is only 200 million, so it's only 200 millions. No, nothing we can add on and directly, so on and so forth. Spermatogenesis produce 4 gametes, but for oogenesis, it's only produce 1 gamete for meiosis. Okay, meiosis will begins at puberty for the male, but meiosis will begins in the fetus, delayed during the fetus, but they are delayed for the year at prophase. Meiosis begins for male during the puberty. Then the differentiation of gametes occur while haploid, means they form spermatid, but the differentiation of gametes occur while diploid. So means if the zygote is formed, so now they are differentiate. Okay, differentiate there to form the zygote sampailah jadi fetus, sampailah jadi